Why, hello. Hello.
What's up, brother?
Not much.
Welcome to Raleigh.
Yeah, man.
You got some fans.
Wonderful, wonderful. I'm sorry if you were here for the Guardians of the Galaxy. Little did you know that I was in Guardians of the Galaxy. I played space. Anytime they were in space, that was me. I was that good.
Oh, that was you.
That was me.
I thought I recognized your work, man.
Oh, you brought all Jolly Ranchers and stuff? Look at you.
Oh, these are little treats I give out to the kids.
Okay.
So what I want to ask, I always ask this of my guests, what got you interested in acting? Because you started out pretty young.
Well, my father's an actor, my stepfather is a writer, my mom is an acting coach, so it was all my idea. It was all just my idea.
Dad, I want to play baseball. No, you're going to study Shakespeare.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was, No, they wanted me to be anything but an actor. You know, it's one of those hard professions to make a living doing, but I've been blessed to be able to do it.
Absolutely. You blessed us with some great stuff. You did some really good early work, Saving Private Ryan.
Sure.
Steven Spielberg. What was that experience?
People always seem to forget one of my very first jobs was a spam commercial. That was my very first job, was a spam commercial. It was fantastic. Kept me alive for a long time, that spam commercial.
Well, those national commercials, those checks, man,
That was wonderful. It was wonderful. I played a football player who was standing there, and there was a spam news reporter who was traveling the United States. This was the gig, and she was interviewing people about spam. And her line was, "So, one can feeds 3 of you." And my line was, "Or one of us 3 times." That was my big bit. And that ran for 4 years. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
4 years is a good run for a commercial.
It was a great spam commercial. What can I say?
That paid the rent for a bit. So definitely. You had a really solid part in one of my favorite movies of the last decade, We Were Soldiers.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was that experience like?
That was
a great cast.
Yeah, that was a fantastic experience. You know, that was a heavy one because, you know, when you're playing somebody who had been through such a traumatic event and had survived, you know, the entire cast went through boot camp in Fort Benning, Georgia, like just normal boot camp, up at 4:30, running, you know, the whole business. And the guy who I was portraying, Ernie Savage, is kind of a no-nonsense guy. And there was a big sort of self-congratulatory, ceremony at the end of our doing the boot camp, and sort of right before the very first day of shooting, and we were all kind of getting together, and there was a ceremony, and it was like, let's have a great shoot. And Ernie was actually the last person to get up and speak. There's a bunch of other people who got up to speak, so said, "Thank you for telling our story," and da-da-da. And he got up there and looked at everybody in the audience and said, you know, "Look, I'm real happy you guys are making a movie, but my friends died out there, and if you mess up this story, I'll hunt you down and kill you." And he was dead serious. There was silence. He kind of like dropped the mic and walked off stage, and we were like, "Okay, I guess we're making a movie." So.
I don't think I'd say that to Sam Elliott.
Yeah. Sam's a sweetheart. I love that guy.
Cool stuff. And then, of course, again, Dr. Anjit's solid work, but we got to obviously come to, when did Sons of Anarchy become a blip on your radar?
I was in that. You guys know that? I was in that one. Sons of Anarchy came, my manager gave me a call, and she's like, "You want to, be able to keep your beard, and they'll pay you to learn to ride a motorcycle." And I was like, "I don't need to read the script, just I'll do it." So I mean, that came into my life, and I was really happy about it. And I don't think anybody knew that it was going to be as big of a hit as it was, but that was a very fun time in my life.
Got to play a modern pirate, that's what I always call him.
That's right. Absolutely right.
And then when your character unfortunately departed,
Yep.
which was not a fun scene to watch. It was sad. Well, I don't want to give away spoilers if I haven't seen it. But he went on, King of Maxwell, Bates Motel.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then finally Outsiders, which really crystallized. How did Outsiders develop out?
Outsiders was just, that was one of those ones that, when it got canceled, I was like, oh, really? So quick. But it was a script that was floating around Hollywood for a long time. It was this strange kind of chimera of different genres all sort of mashed together. Nobody knew exactly what to do with it, but it was so much fun. And the reason that I took the job was David Morse has been one of my favorite actors for as long as I can remember. Him and like Gene Hackman and these sort of, and Paul Giamatti, these sort of journeyman character actors. And but yeah, that was a lot of fun too. Again, getting paid to ride motorcycles, can't get much better than that.
No, indeed not. And again, with all these wonderful casts and wonderful castmates you've had some really good ensemble projects.
Yeah.
Very, very envious. So, that being said, I'm going to put the microphone up here. So, if y'all want to go ahead and, like I said, went over the rules, just one question at a time, please, and form a line in that direction.
Please feel free. Ask me whatever you'd like. The stranger, the better.
In acting.
I've been asked very strange questions.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, my name's Amber.
Are you sure, Amber?
One thing everybody, I'm really sure.
All right, keep it together. Keep it together.
One thing everybody's also forgetting is, remember the Titans, left side.
I was in that too.
That was me. My question was, we all fell in love with Opie and cried when Opie died.
Yeah.
How hard was it for you to leave that character behind and move forward and actually break character in your real life, because you guys are doing this all day, every day, getting paid to ride motorcycles?
Yeah, it's a unique thing for an actor, because up until maybe 15 years ago, shows didn't go for more than a couple of seasons. And now it's kind of the norm that you have shows that go for 7 seasons, 9 seasons. So it's a great thing for an actor, to be able to create a character and really evolve that character. But you get so attached to them. Is the actors get just as attached as the fans do.
Opie was our neighbor.
I know. So I felt the same way when they told me they were killing off the character. I was like, no, not Opie. Not Opie. I'm not gonna even watch this show anymore.
Exactly.
Exactly. I felt the same way. Baby.
Thank you.
You got it.
Oh, wait. You get one.
Oh, you got candy. Look at that.
Yes.
I don't get anything for answering them either. Whatever.
You might earn one.
All right.
Hello, gorgeous.
Hello, baby.
And I know my husband's in the audience, but he will definitely be okay. So my question is, when you guys were doing Remember the Titans, I know that that's a true story, or based on a true story. So does the amount of depth that you put into a character change, being that it's based, you're actually portraying somebody else's life?
Sure.
So that's my question.
I think part of an actor's job is to find the sort of common denominators between human beings. It's like when a writer writes something, or even if you're portraying, a biography of somebody who actually existed, you have to find something that resonates within you and the person that you're portraying. And, the best part about it is the longer you live, the more you get to understand that there's much more that unifies us as human beings on this planet than divides us. So, and I just try to bring that to any character that I play is even if I'm playing a bad guy, there's a lot more in common than you may, at first glance notice. So I just try to bring that to everything that I do.
Well, you do a good job.
Oh, thank you, baby.
Thank you
so much.
Oh, wait. You get one, too. Okay. Woohoo.
Hi, Ryan.
Hello.
My name's Chris, and I was just curious,
Hi, Chris.
being a child actor, I guess you say, quote unquote, when we think of child actors, we think of, 6, 7, 8 years old, but I think your credited work started when you were 16. Did you actually, start as a child actor when you were older, and do you think, starting not as young definitely equipped you for keeping your head on straight in Hollywood, unlike a lot of child actors who don't turn out so well?
I mean, I really kind of give that up to my parents more than anything. They tried to keep me out of it as long as they could. They were like, because I wanted to be an actor when I was really young, and they were like, no, you're going to be a child. let's be a kid first. When they say like a lot of kid actors sort of get messed up, it's not that they get messed up, it's just that they don't get a lot of time around kids. Is that the majority of all of their time is interacting and becoming friends with adults. And that's why it's just, a lot of sort of child actors have a different path. But my parents kept me out of it. They were like, you're going to go play outside. We're not going to put you on a set just yet.
Okay.
But I still consider myself an adult child actor. So.
Thank you.
What?
Give me a sec, all right? So you said you had to do a Spam commercial when you were younger, and my question was, for the commercial, did they ever ask you, would you eat Spam, and did you like it?
They did ask me that, and I refused.
That's a really good idea.
So it was false advertising. I've never had Spam in my entire life.
You're so very lucky.
It's not so much the Spam; it's the weird clear gelatin that surrounds it.
Yeah, that and it lasts forever.
Hi, I'm too short for this.
Yeah, go.
Hi. My question, Opie is my favorite character that you've ever played, followed very closely by Gary Bertier. I really think Remember the Titans is like the best football movie ever made. But my question is, what was your favorite thing about being Opie and being able to step into that character and bring it to the screen?
More than anything, it was just hanging out with the guys on the set. It was 2 episodes in, and it was just one of those very unique experiences where, I mean, you can't really put it into words, but after a couple weeks together, we just all sort of realized that there was something magical going on there. And these are guys that are my family now. I was like, oh, we're going to know each other till we're dead. Okay. It's a very close-knit brotherhood, and we adopted that, real early on. Yeah, that was probably the most fun part about it.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you got it.
Thank you.
Don't forget your candy.
That's right.
Hi, how you doing there, Ryan?
What's up?
My question is, Opie got just, on Sons of Anarchy, he just got stuff thrown at him left and right. Just tragedy after tragedy.
Yeah.
Very tragic character. His wife, him, he started off in jail when he's on the show, just gets out, all that. Do you think they just tried to see how much they could take, and do you think that affected how you portrayed the character at the end there is just he was ready to go? Kind of
Yeah, well, I mean, I was kidded around with Kurt Sutter. I was just like, this guy's like Job, it's like everything. I was like, you take everything away from this guy. But I loved playing that, I kind of knew that he wasn't going to be around for the entirety of the season, of the show. As an actor, you love to portray that kind of stuff. It's like when something is sort of milquetoast or bland, that's when it's hard as an actor to actually play it. But when everything has gone wrong and it's tragic and horrible and emotional and dramatic, that's when actors thrive off it. We love that stuff. So people always ask me, was it hard to shoot that last scene? I was like, no, it was a blast. It was like, you love that sort of operatic, blood, everywhere kind of, you love those types of scenes and environments. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
You got a Hulk shirt, so you get a green one. All right, there you go.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Hello.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
When you made the film The Lady Killers, which is a remake of a 1950s Ealing comedy,
Right.
how did you feel that the updating and moving from England to America suited the movie?
You mean just in terms of Lady Killers? I mean, yes. I like the original better than the one that we made.
original's awesome.
I mean, you got Peter Sellers in the original. It's like how you can't improve upon anything with Peter Sellers in it. I mean, anytime you update something, it's better be good. It better be good, But then again, the Coen brothers was one of the reasons why that I signed on to that. But I mean, that was a very, very fun movie to do, just to be locked in the basement with Tom Hanks for 3 months.
The original's an awesome film, and it's a real 1950s English farce.
Yeah.
And I saw the remake, and it was okay.
Yeah.
No insult intended, of course.
Get out of here.
No candy for you.
Okay, no problem. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that is such a phony accent. I've never heard a phonier accent in all my life.
I hadn't even said anything yet. Obviously, huge fan. But so from Sons of Anarchy, but even going further back, you filmed Patch Adams, or at least a scene in Patch Adams.
Yeah.
And you did it with Robin Williams. You've worked with a million amazing actors. But did you film that here in North Carolina in Chapel Hill?
Which one?
Patch Adams.
No. We shot that in San Francisco.
Because most of the film was made at Duke and at UNC.
Yeah,
so
sure.
I wasn't sure.
No, we shot all of that in San Francisco, and I'd say like 90% of the stuff that I did on that movie was all cut out because it was an earlier part of Patch's life. But that was one of the most, still, that I look back upon as probably number one experience that I've had as an actor. It was me, Robin, and Alan Tudyk in a room improvising for 3 weeks.
Wow.
And Robin had been one of my idols since I was literally 6 years old. I would watch, I know, please, I used to watch his stand-up comedy specials when I was 6, 7, and 8 years old and memorize them. I would watch Robin Williams at the Metropolitan Opera House and memorize his entire thing. And when I remember, it was one of the first times that I was actually starstruck, because I don't get starstruck by people unless I liked them when I was little. and I saw him on that set, and I walked up to him, and I said, I just need to let you know, when I was about 7 years old, my friends are out at sleepovers and going out and playing together, and I'm sitting there with the VCR watching Robin Williams at the Metropolitan Opera House over and over and over and over again. And he looked at me and he grabbed my hand, and I didn't know what it meant at the time because I really didn't know what to make of it. And he grabbed my hand and he went, "That'll get me through today. That'll get me through today." And he walked away, and I was like, "What?" So he struggled with his own sort of demons for a long time.
Just so you know, we watch Sons of Anarchy over and over and over again.
Oh, there you go.
Thank you, Ryan.
Oh, no, you get two. You got one for the beginning, and then you get one for that. There you go. Right.
Hi.
Hi.
Throughout the years of being an actor, what effect did it have on day-to-day life?
Being an actor, what effect did it have? I think the biggest effect was having people scream a real silly name at me when I was walking down the street. So like, "Hey, Uppy!" That affects me. See? I was like, why couldn't he have a cool name like Scorpion, like Savage Face? Instead it's like, "Hey, Opie!" I was like, yeah, that's me.
Ron Howard is probably grateful.
That's right.
He's no longer Opie. You're Opie now. Thank you. You're welcome. What's up, heel?
That's right. It's Chris. Question for you. As a decorated Marine Corps combat vet, Saving Private Ryan was the first graphic, awesome display of what combat truly is. And I saw an interview with Vin Diesel. He said that was the hardest build-up. They had to go to boot camp and all those things. I know you were fairly young in your career at that point when you were in that movie. What did that movie, did it have an impact on you as well?
Yeah, I wasn't there for a lot of the shooting. I was just basically there for that one scene. But in reading the best part about it was reading the script. That first sort of 20 minutes, that opening, that D-Day sort of battle everything was written exactly the way that it was shot. So when we went to the screening, it was otherworldly, and one of the things that I don't know if a lot of people know about this, but we had a lot of veterans at the opening night, and we didn't quite know the effect that it was going to have on a lot of people. And there were people who were basically, re-instigating some post-traumatic stuff, literally during the showing of it, that had to like get escorted out because they were screaming. But that's one of that movie was just sort of one of those things that sort of had to be, and the way that they made it also was just phenomenal. One of the things about it is they made that movie in 38 days, which is impossible. Is just impossible. Is when movies shoot now, they shoot for 6 months, they'll shoot for 7 months, 8 months, then more reshoots. They shot that movie so fast, it was unbelievable. It was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
So,
Don't forget your candy.
You said you served?
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Here's some candy.
Thank you. What's your name, boss? Chris. Everybody, round of applause for Chris again. Thank you.
Hello. I'm a big Sons of Anarchy fan, and that's why I was like super excited to see that you were at this Supercon.
Yeah, man.
And I was wondering, because I know, like, I heard that Charlie Hunnam got to keep his cut. Is there anything that you got to keep from the set?
Yeah, we all kept our cuts.
Oh, you all did?
Yeah.
Is there anything that you really wanted that they were like, you can't have it?
Motorcycle?
No, nobody wanted those motorcycles. Man, they bought those motorcycles for like $1,500. They broke down all the time. I'm like, let's smoke and mirrors, baby. They painted them and made them look really nice, but they were horrible motorcycles. But they called me when the show was done, and they were sort of giving out. I mean, I kept my cut and my leather jacket, and my beanie, and my knife. But they were like, do you want anything else? And I was like, well, might as well take the bike. I'll fix it back up. And I was like, can I have my bike? And they were like, we gave your bike away. I was like, you gave my bike away? And I was like, who'd you give my bike to? They're like, we can't tell you. I was like, what is this? And then I was like, well, then give me my coffin. And as I'm saying that, I look over at my wife, who's like doing the dishes, and she's like, you are not keeping the coffin. And I was like, I don't want anything then, bye.
Right on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm a big fan. I've seen, of course, Sons of Anarchy, and I got really into The Outsiders. Huge disappointment that it was canceled. I have a lot of questions about that. But anyways, the roles that you played, they were emotionally intense, mentally intense.
Yeah.
In both shows, how did you prepare yourself for that?
A life of hardship. No, I mean, you can only prepare so much because, an actor, we're only given a few scripts to begin with, and then, we kind of have to make some big choices on how we want to present the character. But then after that, it's just kind of, it's a little bit like being a boxer, which is like, you can do your drills and you can do some sparring, but when you get into the ring, you gotta fight your way out, and that's kind of the best way. You can only prepare so much. For Sons of Anarchy, we went up to San Francisco, we went up to Oakland and kind of met with some of the Hells Angels guys and obviously did all the reading and research as I could, reading, Hunter S. Thompson's Hells Angels and that kind of thing. But it's kind of the equivalent of reading a book about swimming in the ocean. It's like, oh, is that what it's really like to swim in the ocean? No, you just got to kind of jump in there and see what happens.
Great. Thank you.
You got it.
And never eat Spam.
Did you say Spam is delicious?
Yes, I did.
You are. Security.
Let Superman. We'll get to you in a second. Let's let Superman talk, and then we'll continue this discussion.
Nice to see you. My name is James Stewart. I'm a teacher and a coach. I've been coaching since 1989, and I've used your movie, Remember the Titans, in health class and for my football teams. You've done a great job showing how teams can work together and that relationship that they build through that. And my younger kids, now that I'm coaching middle school, have a hard time building that relationship. And after we watch that movie, they do a much better job in practice. They seem to, it gets to them. And I just wanted to let you know that. And watching that movie, I love it. I can, every time I show it with my students and my athletes, it's moving to me. Yeah. And as my 30th year teaching comes on, the students are not understanding that empathy anymore, and this movie helps them a lot. And I was wondering, working with that group, you must have had, it looked like you were having a great time. Yeah. I mean, it had to be honest. You must have had some great camaraderie with that group and just building that as a team together. What was that like?
Yeah, we bonded very, very much so. You know, a lot of we did 3.5 weeks of two-a-day practices. First of all, and being a football player too, I was like, really? We all need to do this. We need to do two-a-day practices. We need to be here at 5:30 in the morning. I was just like, I'm an actor. I can act like I'm playing. That's a lot of, I don't know at what point, it was maybe 20 years ago or so, is that they started putting actors through these, just like, oh, you're going to do Kung Fu in this movie? Okay, so for 1.5 years, you're going to have 6 hours of Kung Fu training. It's like, wait a minute. I've got a life. No, but we did two-a-day practices for 3.5 weeks and really all sort of bonded together through that. And a lot of the guys hadn't played football ever, like had never put pads on, so that was good for them. But yeah, there was a very, very tight-knit group, and Wood Harris and I, who played Julius in that, him and I are still great friends.
It showed.
Yeah.
It was excellent. Thank you very much for all that.
And thank you for being a teacher for 30 years, you said?
That's beautiful.
Bro, thank you. Thank you. All right, let's...
All right, Spam lady, bring it.
Okay, first off, eating Spam was not my option.
Okay.
I kind of ate it because I grew up poor.
Okay.
Second off, for someone who suffers from depression and anxiety, and also sadly PTSD, do you have any advice from everyone here that suffers from it, or any mental illness?
One, is depression and anxiety is one of those things that everybody has to deal with in some capacity. Is the thing that's helped me the most is probably about 7 years ago, I was introduced to a thing called Kundalini Yoga. It's a different form of yoga. It's the oldest. Is there somebody applauding Kundalini Yoga? Oh, very nice. Satnam. It's the oldest form of yoga. And the best way to explain it, it's not what you would typically consider yoga. It's not all just sort of stretching and exercising. It's more of meditation in movement. And there's really no way to properly explain it, but it's basically you breathe a certain way, you say certain words that you don't even need to know the meaning of. You do these certain things with your hands and your fingers and it changes your brain. That's the best way to put it. And I became a Kundalini teacher 3 years ago. And it's saved my life, and it's saved the life of many, many people that I know. So I would highly encourage you to research it and find a great teacher if you can.
Okay, because currently I am in therapy.
Yeah.
So it only helps so much. And
Yeah.
then I do also occasionally have flashbacks and nightmares, and my poor husband has to deal with it. So and he's already in the military, and he's dealing with enough.
There's also a treatment called EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization and reprogramming, which is a wonderful thing that you can do for post-traumatic stress. It's basically there's a way to deal with when post-traumatic. You're all getting a lesson here, so we're all learning something here.
It's all good. It's all good.
Is when trauma happens inside the brain. There's basically, an analogy that I give is that what happens is that traumatic event gets sort of locked in one part of the brain. It's almost like, for lack of a better term, it's like plaque in the brain that it gets trapped on one side of the brain. Okay, is eye movement desensitization and reprogramming is as you go through therapy, is that you revisit this traumatic event while doing these specific exercises with your eyes. Okay, and what it does is when the different eyes are attached to different parts of the brain. So as you do these things with your eyes and also with tapping, essentially what it does is it mobilizes this energy that was trapped in one side of the brain so that the entire system can then sort of metabolize this traumatic event, and that you can have a relationship to this traumatic event that isn't so frozen. Because that's essentially what post-traumatic stress does, is it gets locked in this one part of the brain, and you kind of keep visiting it. And that's why these flashbacks come. It's kind of like almost like having the energetic equivalent of a stroke, is like it just gets locked there. And there's different types of therapies that can get you to sort of mobilize that and metabolize it and move on with your life.
Thank you for your
You got it,
advice.
baby.
Oh, thank you. And say with it, and you know, you're always welcome here at Supercon. We will always do everything to make you feel safe and welcome, okay? And Spam with macaroni and cheese is awesome, and my comfort food.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
I wanted to ask you really quick about Bates Motel. Being that Chick Hogan is such a, which I thought halfway through they were going to write him off, and I was pissed. But he's such an in-depth character, and he's like this inadvertent puppet master. He just kind of finds himself in the right position to pull strings. How was it playing that character? How was it being able to adapt to that character? Because you seem quite knowledgeable about a lot of the things he was knowledgeable about already. So was it a stretch or?
No, it was a lot. That was a lot of fun. You know, they offered me the role 2 or 3 times, and I turned it down because originally they just said, "Look, we want this guy to be a biker," and I was like, "Eh." And they're like, "He's a biker and he dies at the end of the 3rd season." I was like, "Pass." Yeah. And they're like, "Well, what do you want to do?" And I read what they had written. And I had this idea, you know, I'm a cinephile, you know, I love movies. And one of the most fun things that I love about Alfred Hitchcock is his ability to sort of play with ambiguity, is that you don't necessarily know how you're supposed to feel about any of his characters. And so I was like, I want to try to, I love it when you get into an elevator and there's some weird person in there and you don't know whether you're supposed to feel sorry for them, whether you're supposed to be afraid of them, whether you're supposed to laugh at them. And I was like, let me try something really difficult with this guy. Let me present him as sort of an enigma, you know, as this guy who's very sort of selfless, very sort of, you know, non-judgmental, but he's also very all out for himself. Right. So and they said, we love it. And after the first couple of episodes, as I started to do the performance, they were like, oh, now we know how to write this guy. And they pretty much changed the character completely to suit what I was trying to bring there. And I was so happy that they did. Yeah. And they just let me do whatever I wanted. I was like, let me dress him I just kind of like ran through the costume stuff and pulled I was like, do you guys have kimonos? They're like, you want a kimono? So I was so blessed to be on that show. That was one of probably the most fun productions I've ever been a part of.
The dinner scene is my favorite scene.
Well, it was hilarious.
I know, it was fantastic. You're just like, oh. It was great. Thank you.
You got it, man.
There you go. And we are coming on to time, so I'm going to close the line. Everybody stay in line. You're still in line. You're still good, but I have to ask no one else join the line. Thank you.
Hello, Ryan. My name is Hannah.
Are you filming me?
Fan of yours.
You're
Of course I
filming. Look at
am. Yes, I'm slow like that. No, okay, so Sons of Anarchy.
Yes.
Without, being cast automatically as Opie, would you choose Opie or would you be another character in there? Like, is there someone else that you would be? Or,
Chucky, the guy with no fingers. He'd be Chucky in a minute. I love that character. I accept that. It was hilarious. I love Chucky.
right.
Either that or the homeless lady. That's what
Really?
I pick. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
You
You're
got
amazing.
it. You got it, sweetie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi. Yeah. Actually, as a psychologist, first, I loved your answers to her questions because not enough people know about EMDR and mindfulness yoga. So that's awesome.
Good, man.
And the other question, you filmed a lot of action-oriented movies, and, TV series over the years. What's been the hardest sequence that you remember to film? Like just horror story, it all went horribly wrong, but it still looked beautiful on TV or film.
Oh, I don't know that I've had that many. I mean, like I was saying earlier, one of the hardest things is when you have something that doesn't necessarily work very well. You know, it's just kind of bland and boring, and you have to make it seem interesting. And that's when you really earn your money as an actor, when you know, you're given kind of a turd and you're supposed to make it into a golden apple. You know, it's like, but you know, the best part about it is that if you don't do it, if you don't kind of, you know, if you don't work your alchemical, you know, magic, is that they cut it. So I don't know that I've had ones where everything went wrong, at least not yet.
Cool. Thank you, boss.
Thank you.
Yeah, there you go.
Super short, yeah. How has it affected your life being like iconicized as like this sex symbol that you are?
Well, yeah, I walk around every day thinking the exact same thing. I don't know. I don't know, man. You know, I mean, that's a very sweet question, but I'm just a dude with long hair and a beard. They had to give it to somebody, right?
You're not just Opie, you're sexy Opie.
Yes. Thank you. I don't know how to answer that question.
That's all good. It's all good.
How's it going? My name's Zach. I'm a 6-year Air Force veteran.
Thanks for your service, brother.
Thank you. And now I'm an actor, writer. You know, I'm doing all that kind of stuff, and I've done mostly stage work, but I'm just recently transitioning into film work.
Yep.
In my travels, you mentioned we were soldiers. I actually got to meet Colonel Marm,
Yep.
who that movie is. He's one of the guys that movie's about.
Yep.
And I just wanted to let you know that he was very pleased with the outcome of the movie. So
Yeah.
someone who actually lived it enjoyed it.
Yeah. He was there every single day of filming.
Really?
Yep.
He lives an hour away from here. He lives in Fremont, North Carolina.
Yeah.
So, my question is, what do you find the most challenging about being a film actor? And have you done stage work versus film, and how do you find that different?
Between stage work and film work?
Yes.
I mean, stage work is wonderful. I mean, I love just the routine of being able to do stage work. The hardest part about doing a film is that, you know, again, like you're only shooting these things between 3 and 6 months total. And there's usually, in terms of a rehearsal period, even though that there's lots of training, there's usually very few rehearsal periods for actors. So you have to have a real idea of exactly how you want to play the character going into it. You know, when you're doing television, you can make some very general sort of ideas of how you want to present the character, but know that you're going to have hundreds of hours of time on screen to be able to evolve this character. But for a movie, you have to know it before you start. So that's probably, you have to do, the workload is very sort of top heavy, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Right on. All right, you're a red shirt, so you get a red one. No, his shirt says Star Trek red shirt.
Hi, Ryan.
She said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's good.
If Kurt Sutter found a way to get you on the Mayan spinoff, would you do that?
Unfortunately, there's probably going to be no one from Sons on Mayans. But there's been talk about whether they're going to do a one-off called The First Nine, about the origin, you know, about how the club started. And there's talks about if they decide to do that, which again is like 2 or 3 years down the line, there's been talks about me playing Piney, like shaving the beard and all the hair, and then being, which I would like to do.
Jump on that.
Yeah, man.
Hold on, boss. You would.
Hi there, my name's Michael.
Hi, Michael.
How you doing?
Good.
I'm a surgeon, and Wednesday mornings my scrub nurse would always be a little too groggy. I'd say, "What's wrong with you?" I had to stay up and watch Sons of Anarchy last night. And it was because
So people were wide open, and you were thinking like, "Oh gosh, what about Opie?" Like, great.
It was because of you. When you died off, things got a lot better on Wednesday
Oh,
morning.
so you left your watch inside somebody and sewed it up, and it's all my fault. Great.
Right, exactly. My question, tell me, what's the challenge to being famous?
There's no challenge. You get to walk around and people are nice to you all the time. It's the best. You know what I mean? It's like there's no challenge to being famous. You know, people present their best self to you. Which is like how awesome is that? You know, it's like you go out to dinner and somebody goes, "Oh
my God! You watch, you know, I've had this, you know, I've had this guy who was 7'2" come up and grab me. This giant black dude. He was enormous. He made me look like a baby. Walked up to me on the street and grabbed me, and he was like, "You made me cry in front of my girlfriend." And I was like, "Geez," I was like, "It's the best. It's the best." You know, it's like. You get to, you know, and to bring out the best part of a human just by telling a story. You know, it's the best.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
I didn't get to see you at the booth, but
Okay.
I'm seeing you now.
This is correct.
Yes. I'm sorry. I'm really nervous. I don't know how to say this question. I get really stressful. Okay. And I'm gonna go off into little things. I used to stay up really late at night watching Sons of Anarchy.
Yep.
Like, it was the thing I devoted my life to. It really helped me because at that time I was really depressed. I had just been pulled out of somewhere I was living at.
Yep.
And it really kind of gave me sympathy. So, do you, like, I heard you talking about yoga. I just kind of popped in here.
Yep.
Do you, like, recommend anything yoga-wise for, like, stress relief or anything?
Kundalini yoga. Yeah, Kundalini yoga is, again, they call it the mother of all yogas. It's an energy-based yoga, so it's not just, and I've done all different types of yoga. I did Hatha yoga for 3.5 years every single day. I did Ashtanga, I did Iyengar, I've done hot yoga. All of those for a very long time. And then I found Kundalini yoga, and it's a yoga of the mind more than anything else. And it helps you, it basically helps you learn how to be a better human being. That's the best, and how to understand that the stresses that we have through mindfulness, through meditation, it's obviously work, but is that it's an accomplishable task. So much of the time that we feel this sort of helplessness about our own mind and our own feelings. And through this yoga, it really helps you learn to bring enough energy through the system, through your nervous system, to be able to accomplish more things. I mean, in yoga, one of the things that they talked about is that we all have sort of 3 minds, which we have a negative mind, we have a positive mind, and then that's sort of the top of the pyramid is the neutral mind. Is like and the ability to reach this neutral state is to have enough energy running through your nervous system. You know, is that if you don't have enough, it's kind of like a you know, like one of those things at a carnival where you have to hit it hard enough to get it to go all the way to the top. As a lot of, in the West, one of the things is when you say neutral to somebody here in America, we kind of go, we don't know what that means. In the East, it's one of the highest things, because what it means is when you're in a negative state, everybody knows what being in a negative state is. When you're in a positive state, it's kind of just the flip side. Is everybody kind of in the West, we try to, you know, arrive at this positive state of mind. But from the yogic perspective, is we think, well, you're just kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop. You know, is when you're in a neutral state, you can be either of these things. You don't have to react to something unless you choose to react to it. Does that make any sense? Yes. So one of the ways of dealing with this stress is through this yoga, through this meditation, is that you activate this energy throughout the body so that it kind of removes all the sort of mental, emotional, physical, psychological blocks that you have in your system, so that it's much easier to just kind of flow through life, if that makes any sense. And I love your ears.
Thank you.
Here you go. Be well. All right, boss, your last one. Bring us home.
No pressure. All right. My name is Sebastian. I'm wondering, you know, I'm going to pretend like I know how famous people work and say that I'm sure that you go inside of each other's homes at some point, right?
Yes.
All right. You
Not like weird, not like Santa Claus or like a burglar, but
well, yeah,
yes.
ask him. We got Santa Claus right there in the green shirt.
You wanted a weird question. So out of all of your co-stars' homes that you've been into throughout your career, what's the strangest thing you've seen in someone's home, and whose home was it?
That'd be Mark Boone Jr., who played Bobby. He's got, man, oh, jeez. Mark Boone Jr. is one of the rarest, strangest human beings I've ever met in my entire life. He was who I based Chick off of. I was like, one of the reasons that I played Chick so well, because I was just doing an impersonation of Mark Boone Jr. He has a pet chicken, a big, huge rooster that just walks around his house. He's got the strangest, most eclectic artwork. He has, he's gonna kill me for saying this. He's got a jar full of toenails that's this big. Yeah, that he spreads out and takes photos of, and they're beautiful photos, and people go, what are those photos of? He's like, my toenails. He is one of those loving, strangest, most wonderful human beings around. That's a great question, though, man.
And you have been one of the most awesome.
Oh, thanks, man.
Stage, bro.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Right.
Thanks.
Before we go,
Yep.
what social media outlets can we follow you on if we don't already?
Instagram and Twitter, Rambo Donkey Kong. That's me.
Bro, thank you for this hour. Thank
All
you so
right,
much.
thank
A
you
round of
very
applause
much.
for our guests, ladies and
All right,
gentlemen.
thanks, guys.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to turn this over to Ursula, my stage manager. Everyone say hello.